So it turns out that Derek Dixon's heavy lawsuit that hit the headlines causing a buzz online about billionaire producer and mogul Tyler Perry needing therapy isn't the only thing coming to light. Yeah, according to reports, Tyler actually has done therapy, and there's proof. So here's what's been bubbling, folks. Tyler Perry, the billionaire producer, has been catching heat over that Derek Dixon lawsuit. You've seen the headlines. A former crew member basically pulled the curtain back on Tyler's empire, saying working under the man felt more like surviving a dictatorship than being on a film set. Folks started side-eyeing Perry like, yo, how you preaching healing in your movies but running a dark and twisted studio behind the scenes, allegedly. But what caught people off guard wasn't just the lawsuit, it was the emotional fallout. See, in one court filing, the topic of therapy came up. That sparked the usual noise. Tyler needs therapy. Tyler got issues. Black men and mental health. That's what folks were quick to throw out like they just discovered something. But here's the real kicker. While everybody was busy clowning and pointing fingers, acting like they just cracked some code, Tyler was ahead of the curve and didn't even need the world to know. Word is that Tyler Perry been doing therapy, not that one-time, once-a-year church counseling session folks do just to say they did it, not some PR-friendly healing journey post to get likes on the gram. Nah, this was real therapy. That's sit your ass down and unpack your trauma type. The kind where you gotta peel back layers you ain't talked about in decades. No cameras, no audience, just raw, uncomfortable truth. And get this, it ain't even some new wave he jumped on. This ain't no trend-chasing moment, no damage control tactic for a lawsuit or scandal. This was years ago. In a now resurfaced interview, Tyler said it straight up. He was in therapy, handling his mental business like a grown man who knew the weight he was carrying was way too heavy to just pray away or sweep under the rug. He didn't wait for a breakdown. He didn't wait for the world to fall apart. Man saw the storm coming and started building his shelter early. According to Tyler, he began therapy following a conversation with Joy Behar on The View, where she encouraged him to seek help for his past traumas. He described therapy as a transformative experience that allowed him to process his past trauma and become the freest version of himself. So while folks laughing and talking slick, Tyler already done the work. You gotta remember, this is a man who grew up in the thick of it. Abusive household, poverty, no silver spoon, not even a rusty one. Dude changed his name at 16 to escape his father's name. That's not regular trauma, that's legacy pain. And when you build an empire on top of that, you either crack or you do the work to hold your foundation steady. So, when folks were roasting Tyler for needing help, truth is, he was already ahead. He didn't wait for a public downfall or PR disaster. He did what most street dudes and moguls refuse to do. He talked to someone. Now let's be clear. That don't make him soft or mean he's some emotional guru walking barefoot through his studio lot. It just means he's not faking strength. You can't run a billion-dollar studio, write scripts, direct films, build an airport-sized lot in Atlanta, and mentor half of Black Hollywood without carrying some kind of emotional weight. And let's not act like therapy's some secret white people privilege thing. Half the OGs we know needed it 10 years ago. Tyler just did it with a sharper suit and $1 billion in the bank. And maybe, just maybe, that's why he's still standing while some of his peers been crashing out left and right. Now the real twist? Some people don't want to hear that. It messes with the narrative. They want to see him explode. They want another breakdown, another viral clip. But what they're getting is a man who's been through hell and still shows up every day. You might not like all his movies, you might not even be a fan, but you can't deny the grind. And you damn sure can't knock the growth. Because real talk, therapy ain't a weakness move, it's a survival move. Especially for a black man in power. Especially when you're holding up not just your own story, but carrying generations of silence, pain, and expectations on your back. So while the Derek Dixon lawsuit plays out and the blogs keep spitting, Tyler's somewhere sipping green juice, probably writing another billion-dollar film about family and forgiveness. And the best part, he already forgave himself. Through therapy, quietly. No press run, no applause, just the work. Now, let's dive right back to the messy, or should I say, nasty situation. This Derek Dixon situation, it ain't your typical he said lawsuit, it got layers. Not just because it came with a lawsuit, but because the man filed a legit federal EEOC complaint a full year before he even tried to get a dime. That ain't clout chasing. That's someone who was trying to follow the rules until he felt he had no choice but to blow the whistle. Now let's keep it a buck. If you ain't familiar with what EEOC complaints mean, that's a federal agency. They don't just take every cry for help. You file one of those, you're putting yourself under a microscope too. So Derek wasn't just risking a job. Word is he was risking being blackballed. And what happened next got folks side-eyeing Tyler. Tyler allegedly killed off his character in the Oval. Not just wrote him out, shot the man's character dead. But it didn't stop there. The receipts say Tyler texted he was gonna shock a lot of people with that character death. So yeah, it wasn't random. It read like a chess move, cold, calculated, petty on a cinematic level. And when someone got that kind of control, writing, producing, casting, directing, there ain't much room to fight back unless you're willing to risk it all. Now here's where it starts getting eerie. One of the commentators and Hollywood insiders speaking on this case went in. He didn't hold back, he said it straight. Tyler might be sick, not figuratively, not stressed out rich man tired. Nah, he said, dude might get off on control, manipulation, and harassment. Like it's a pattern that's been allegedly growing for years, maybe even decades. He even compared that kind of behavior to something deeper, something that don't get fixed by therapy or time off. He brought up how there's a class of people out there like child molesters that science says can't be rehabilitated, that once they cross certain lines, there's no coming back. That's dark. That's the kind of conversation folks don't even want to whisper, let alone say on camera. But it got said. And if you're still thinking this is just angry words from some dude online, remember, we're talking about power here. Influence. Tyler ain't some D-list actor trying to stay relevant. He owns entire studio lots. He writes roles, builds careers, and has the power to kill them off just as fast. If even a part of what Derek is saying is true, then it ain't just about the Oval, it's about the whole structure behind it. Now Christian Keys? Yeah, people threw his name into the mix too, saying he had something to say about weird energy behind the scenes. But he didn't name names. He stepped back. Which might say more than folks realize. Not everyone can risk it all, especially in a town where your next job depends on staying quiet. So, when people bring therapy into this mix, well, let's say therapy is still part of this story, because Tyler has done it. The man said it himself. He's talked about childhood abuse, trauma, all of it. But doing therapy and actually changing are two different things. You can be in therapy and still be dangerous. You can sit on that couch for years and still pull strings like a narcissist with a camera crew. That's what makes this whole thing so twisted. A man who built his empire on healing stories, black families, trauma recovery, and redemption is now being accused of becoming the villain behind the scenes. That's a wild reversal. And of course, the online community been loud, buzzing with varying opinions. One user wrote, "I think he said he did therapy because it's what people say these days, it sounds good on camera, I don't believe he did therapy." Another wrote, "Evidently, therapy hasn't helped Tyler Perry, he needs more than therapy. The man is selfish and sick mentally." While this other user wasn't blunt, stating Tyler's right to a fair hearing. "I don't know if Tyler is guilty or innocent. I do know that he deserves his day in court. The truth will emerge in the end." So now the question ain't just did Tyler do therapy? The real question is, how deep does this go? What kind of culture exists behind those studio gates? Is Derek Dixon the only one brave or broken enough to speak up, or are there more stories waiting to break the surface? You already know how this works. Hollywood stays quiet until someone can't take it anymore. So what do y'all think? Do you think this is the start of something bigger? Or is this just one man's beef with a boss who went too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit that like and subscribe if you're riding with the real talk. And don't play yourself, make sure to smash that notification bell so you never miss an update when this case blows wide open. 'Cause trust me, it's only just getting started.